Hello and welcome to the Stockyard Industrial Aid. I'm Eric Miller, and today I'm going to begin a new series on the different conductor tools that I give to operators when they come to operate on my model railroad layout. And as you can see here in this drawer, I have the various conductor tools. And so we're going to be going through each one of these, a different one every week, and I'm going to sprinkle these videos in with some just regular operating videos so that it's somewhat interesting. But right here you can see this is all the stuff that I have laid out ready for op sessions for the operators to come over and basically start running the layout. Now, as you know, my operations are basically, I have a two-man crew for every operation that I have to just run the local that goes through the layout here. And it's a conductor and an engineer. The engineer is basically in control of the proto throttle and the locomotive, and that's all he or she does. The conductor, on the other hand, gets to play with a lot of fun stuff. But with that goes a lot of responsibility because you have to know really well how to run the layout. So today we're going to be covering switch locks and how I use those. I've gotten questions about a number of these items that I have in here, and so that's why I decided I would just make a video that covers each one in great detail, so that when I get questions in the future, I can always refer back to these videos. All right, so we're going to go through what these keys are for in the next few videos, and so this is, I think, as real conductors will use, keys kind of like this, obviously not this small, but to help them with different parts of operating and serving customers. And so this is something that I give to my operators, my conductor, and I make sure that I get it back from them every time I'm done. And I think this keychain kind of helps because it's pretty obvious, it's pretty unique that it belongs to this layout. All right, so I've got a number of keys on here. What are these for? Well, let's start with the small ones first. Okay, so on this layout, I have switch locks, and that basically concerns the use of the switches that are on the mainline track, and it's a way to protect the switches so that they don't accidentally get moved. So the crew should know how they're basically set. And a lot of these things that I'm going to cover relate to what's also on my employee timetable. This is also available on my website, stockyardlead.com. So you notice here under the track restrictions, I talk about car and locomotive placement must not foul access or turnouts. All turnouts must be returned to normal position, line for the main line, and locked when all work is complete. So that's also in the employee timetable. So what does it mean to lock a switch? I'll show you. So you may have noticed this before, but on the layout along the fascia here, I have these little locks. Okay, and these are basically little suitcase locks is all they are. These are locks that I've bought, I bought them on Amazon. I think I got 10 of them if I remember correctly. I don't have a whole lot of switches on my layout, which is kind of nice. And they're key to like. So this one key will open any of these locks. And so as per the employee timetable, the crew must unlock these switches and also make sure that they're locked when the work is done. And so basically, I have these on any switch that's on the main line. Now, on a small switching layout, which is basically like a branch or an industrial spur, like my layout is, it might be a little hard to tell what's the main line and what's an industrial spur. But basically, I have this kind of main track that goes through the layout, and any switch that comes off of it needs to have a lock. And so when I decided to do this, I thought about doing this a number of different ways because you can get really fancy with your locks. You could have, for example, maybe you could put a lock actually on the ground throw, right? You could also have the lock open up a box that then controls the switch, either manual or automatic. That's another way. I really wanted to do it the simplest way possible. And I realized that this is a way that can easily, be, how do you say it? You don't really need to do it, right? Before you throw the ground throw. In other words, just because this isn't unlocked doesn't mean I can't just do that. And I've made that mistake myself when I'm operating just by myself. But I really try hard to, impress upon the crews that this is, one of our rules that you have to do. This is so, try to do it. And it is kind of fun. I think crews have fun with it. It's a little bit of an extra thing that they get to do. in their normal work. So, and then again, what I really like to do is kind of slow things down a little bit and focus more on the operations and make you think. And so, in other words, before you just willy-nilly move this ground throw, you think, oh wait, there's something I have to do, right? Oh yeah, I have to unlock this. So that's all I'm trying to do is try to slow it down a little bit, make the operators think a little bit more, not rush through the work, because this is not about like getting, let's get this switching done as fast as we can. It's about slowing it down, having fun, and trying to be more prototypical in what a real railroad does. So that's all I'm trying to do here. So going back to that, I just decided I'm just going to have this lock, and hopefully the crews will figure it out. And in the operating sessions that I've had, so I've had these probably for a couple of years now, maybe about 2 years, and I've had a number of operating sessions, including, first-time visitors that have never been to this layout before, and it's worked pretty well, actually. I mean, every now and then, you're going to have somebody that forgets it, but for the most part, they do follow it, so that works out pretty well. And again, as a layout owner, I don't get super frustrated if they don't follow it, because I realize that, again, we're here to have fun. I'm not trying to, crack down and crack the whip and say, hey, you forgot to do this. I'll just kind of remind them, oh, you didn't unlock the turnout here, just something like that, just a little gentle reminder. So I'm not trying to be mean or anything. Okay, so let's say that, like, if we're wanting to pull some cars out of this spur right here, and we need to unlock this turnout. So what all we'll do is, and this is up to the conductor, so it doesn't need any other approval or authority from anyone else, is basically just unlock it and keep it unlocked while you're operating. And then you can throw the switch, and then your cars, can move like normal. And then whenever you're done, as per the employee timetable, so let's say those cars are all going to a customer, and now we're done with the operating session. So all you have to do, make sure it's lined for the main line, and then lock it again. Just like that. So pretty simple. Those are what those locks are for. So I just wanted to explain that in a little bit. I also want to give you an example of where I don't use these. And so this may be a little confusing to crews, that I have some places where I use locks and some places where I don't. But I think it's pretty obvious. I always put the lock right in front of, the turnout, so it's easy to see. And like I said, they're all on the main line, which is this track that continues along here. So once we get off this track, this is more of like a customer spur. And so these turnouts here do not have locks. I would still prefer them to be, lined for the main line, which the last person that operated through here, which was me, didn't do that, but that should be set like that. But these you do not have to lock. They can be open, because the thing to think about is you should be going through these turnouts slow enough that you can, pay attention and think, okay, wait, before I go through here, which way is the switch line and how do I want it set? So that's why I only use it for the mainline switches. I do have a small commuter rail passenger job that rolls through here. And so when you have stuff like that, plus anytime, you're heading back maybe from switching with the local, you don't want to really worry about is that line for the main line, or am I going to, go off into the industrial spur or whatever. So that's why I have that rule to line it back for the main line, and also to use the locks for the main line. But that's an example. Another example is once we get further down here off the layout, the main line actually changes basically into a customer spur. So you'll note here for the siding, for Gemini siding here, we've got a lock. And then I have another lock on this end for Gemini siding right there. This one does not have a lock because it's off the main line. This is the main track. And then after this point, the main track becomes more of a, like an industrial spur. And so I don't have locks anymore after that point for the switches. So just some examples. I think it's kind of up to you what you want to do on your layout, basically. But that's kind of what I do here on the Stockyard Industrial Lead. So I just wanted to show you those examples. Okay, so now we've went through all of that, and so now you know what I do here on the Stockyard Industrial Lead for these switch locks. And that's part of the equation of what I give a crew, or a conductor, I should say, for these keys. Next time I'll be going through what these keys are for. But I'll try to do a little mini op session next time, or do some operating in my next video. All right, so that's it for today, or this week, and thanks for tuning in as usual. And as always, feel free to comment below if there's anything else that you want to see from my videos in the future. And also feel free to ask any questions about this that you may have. All right, I hope you found this enjoyable, and I hope you got something out of it. And I'll see you next week here on the Stockyard Industrial Lead.